John was just complaining, everyone, that he forgot to change the introduction page as to who's here tonight. So it's not Lisa and Hanan. It is Keltie. Woo!
Hi.
And Ashley.
Hi.
Woo! Good timing. We were just having a good conversation. Now we have to have the real conversation, right? Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Jericho Roads Recovery Connection, episode number 16. Our mission here is to connect and educate everybody, organizations, people in recovery, viewers like you, to the vast resources that have gone under the radar in our community and building social services in this wonderful city, start breaking down some of the stigma that we all have and foster a sense of belonging for all of us who are in recovery. And that's pretty much just about everybody, I think. Join us on Facebook, which you are right now if you're listening to me and us, and YouTube at 8 p.m. on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, where we will be chatting with our friends in recovery and community organizations on topics that matter to all of us and that we think are really important. If you're joining us live, send in questions for our live Q&A at the end of the podcast, which we really enjoy doing. The Recovery Connection is available on all major streaming platforms a week from today, after John gets to clean it up and make us all sound really pretty.
And not have ums.
And not have ums and ahs, and mostly it's me, he says, that he edits, so you guys have nothing to worry about. Please follow, like, and share us on Facebook, Instagram, and all our social media accounts. Hit up our webpage, www.jerichoroad.ca, and you can see all the information that you need to get for our podcasts and anything else. And as a plug-in, we have our annual celebration supper coming up a week from today. And it's our gratitude dinner where we get all of us together, and say thanks and be grateful.
I registered.
You've registered. Thank you, Keltie. Yeah. Thank you, Ashley.
I need to register.
You need to register. Thank you.
I will do that this weekend.
So go to our webpage and check it out, please. There's lots of good stuff there. John does such a wonderful job. Now, I guess I got to introduce the two of you. We'll start with Keltie because she's a repeat, so it should be quick.
There we go.
Hey, say hello.
Oh,
Who
I'm
are you?
introducing Keltie.
You're
okay.
introducing Keltie. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Keltie Davidson. I'm the executive director of Capital City Mission. We run a drop-in center in Lower Town, Ottawa.
And whereabouts, like specific, if people need to find it?
Yeah, if you need to find us, we're at the corner of Rideau and Coburg, so just east of the Byward Market and west of Vanier.
Excellent. Your turn.
Alrighty, I'm Ashley Gibbons. I am from Restoring Hope Ministries. I am the addiction intervention worker as well as the supervisor, volunteer trainer. I wear lots of hats. And we are located at the corner of Laurier and Elgin at the big church on First Baptist. We're in the basement. And we are a homeless youth shelter, as well as we have addiction programming and housing initiatives, and now we have a new women's program.
That's right.
Yes.
Can you talk about that plug it for a minute, because I know it's new.
Absolutely, yes. So in the very end of April, we officially launched our new women's program for survivors of human trafficking.
Yeah.
So it is every Friday from 12 to 4 at the church in the basement. For females only at this time. We do want to expand in the future, but right now it's just for females, and there is no age limit.
Beautiful.
Right now. So anyone can come in. We have I want to say psychotherapist, but I'm not sure if that's her exact title.
Yeah.
But
Someone
Laura
smarter than
D'Amico.
us.
Yeah. So she has her counseling masters and stuff. So she's amazing. So she's there. And then we have like housing services and a bunch of mental health stuff and sexual health stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Excellent. It's nice to see something like that get started.
Yeah, we have a few more things under the works right now, but
we need money.
We need money.
Yeah.
We always need money.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're going to have a really informal conversation tonight, and because we have Gratitude Day coming up for Jericho Road, I wanted to kind of blend it around gratitude, right? Because we all got something to be grateful for.
Yep.
But I wanted to start off with talking about community, because this is, a nice opportunity for 3 different ministries, or I shouldn't say ministries, 3 different organizations getting together and talking about what's important. So on the line of gratitude, I wanted to start off with, let's start off with community. What does community mean to you?
Oh, well, you're doing the eyes to me. I start. Okay, so
you jump in. We're very informal around here.
Okay, so to me, community is really just a group of people who share like similar values, beliefs, or like similar something. There's something that they all share together that they enjoy, whether like for some people, like church is their community, right? For other people, it's their music group is their community. So like everyone has a different type of community. But to me, community is really interesting because it's so influenced by the group, right? And it can change. So like the community can be influenced and kind of adapt and evolve and change on a daily basis sometimes. Sometimes it's not, like it's like a monthly basis. But I just think it's interesting how it shapes accordingly to the people who are involved in the community. So yeah, to me, community is just people who have the same values or beliefs or things, hobbies they like, make them happy, and you build a community around that.
I think too, communities are very intersected.
Yes.
And I see that a lot in our recovery communities, right? So I always say that Jericho Road's a community.
Yes.
And the fellowship of the 12-step people is a community, our churches are communities. But a lot of times those 3 communities all intersect and can be at the same time. Yeah. So that's what I think when I think of community. I think of the intersection of different communities, right? Yeah. What do you think of when you talk about community?
Yeah, I was thinking as you were both talking how community is, it can be really broad, and it can also be the most kind of fundamental thing in our life. So I think of the neighborhood I grew up in a sense that's a community, but I didn't necessarily know all my neighbors. Or we have community centers that are meant for the community, but people don't necessarily always know each other there. Yeah. And then I think about community that is the people that kind of sustain our daily lives and support us and keep us from living in isolation. So it's broad, but it's also the core of the kind of human need is community.
Yeah, and that was something else I was thinking of, because I'm a firm believer that we need to live in community. I think we were designed to live in community.
Yeah, I agree.
We need one another, right? And the other thing you were saying about the community center, I was about to butt my voice in and say those places are underused.
They are.
Right? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think, Ashley made a good point when she was saying that community is or shaped by, an individual that's part of it or changes day to day. Yeah. And I think that for a community to form, it often needs that person with the ability to connect. And I think our community centers, they have staff there with roles, but they don't necessarily have a community host. Wow. They don't necessarily have that person designed to create hospitality and bring people together. Just as an example.
It becomes a service.
Yeah, a service, or even there's just a void of hosting. It's a building that's open. Yeah,
it's like a disconnect.
But there's not necessarily a host.
That's very insightful. Very insightful.
Thank you, Kevin.
I like that.
No, really. Yeah. So how do we fix that?
You come to Restoring Hope. That's what we're all about, and I like that you brought that up, like the community centers and how like there's people there in the role, but it doesn't mean that a community is coming together. And like for us, like one of our biggest thing at Restoring Hope Ministries is like building a community with the youth of like unconditional love, right? And like you can come here and you won't be judged, and there will always be people that are here to talk to you and just really be present. And like our biggest thing is building relationships with our youth and getting connections and building that trust and that love. So like for me, like there's some youth I've known for 7 years now, right? So they'll be going through a hard time. Even if I haven't spoken to them in 2 years, they'll come out to me and be like, hey, I need to talk. And I'm like, yeah, like absolutely. Or we won't have seen them for 4 years and then they relapse, you know, and then they come back to the shelter. But like you're right. Like that's such a big thing, is just building that rapport and that relationship with other community members so we can make the atmosphere community and love and support and all
and
the
so
good stuff.
that kind of leads me into, so how do we build community? How do we foster community? How do we build community? How do we ensure that community is there for those who need it?
I think that, just having, I mean, if I'm thinking about it in the larger society, having places that feel hospitable, having
safe
places where people know they're welcome to be there, and they're not going to have a security guard come in, move them along, or, they're not going to be told you need to buy something else if you want to stay in the food court. And then within kind of our drop-in center, when I think about how we build community, it's through making sure it's a safe place. It's through trying to remember everyone's name. It's through knowing that it's a single double that they want in their coffee, not a double. It's all these little things. But then it's also allowing people to be themselves in the space. So letting that space be open enough that people can come in and bring themselves and, like you're talking about, be accepted, be welcomed, be unconditionally loved.
How do you think community helps people? What are the benefits of community for the people that we serve?
Well, I would say for the people that we serve, like in general, like the three of us as our organizations, I think that the community that we provide as organizations just really provides them a sense of belonging and acceptance, and a sense that, you know, you can make a mistake and we'll still be here for you, right? Like we won't give up on you because you hypothetically, like you relapsed.
Because you messed up.
Or because you had an outburst because you were having a bad day and that's it, you're done. You can't come back for a year. Like that's not the communities that the three of us built, right? It's about acceptance and belonging and forgiveness and just really like compassion.
And not a lot of grace in there either, right? Well,
that's the thing though, we're all human, right? The youth will outburst at the drop-in, and when I was 16, I'm sure I had an outburst with my mom. And it wasn't, well, you're done, you're out the door now for the rest of your life. It was, okay, let's talk about this. So same thing, right? Fostering like family type of relationships with
we can talk about when you're 16, people. But not here, right?
No, that's a long time ago. Let's go for
definitely
good.
Not me. That conversation's over. You said two things that really, really resonated with me because we do a book study here with a lot of the grads, and it's called Destination Joy. And Ernie Larson, the author, says that the two basic human needs are love and acceptance. And everything boils down to love and acceptance. And that's what I think we all do, right? That's what we're doing and what we provide. Unconditional love and acceptance, no matter where you are at. No matter what you've done. Like your past doesn't define your present or your future, right? It's your past. Thank goodness.
And it doesn't make you a bad person. You just made bad choices. But it doesn't dictate who you are as a future person.
John was in our pre-pod conversation. John had made a note that at Restoring Hope, the youth often travel together. They form their own community, group, and environment to feel safe and supported by one another. So what type of community, even when we're talking about people who are homeless or living out on the street, what type of communities do you see that they create?
So for the youth at Restoring Hope, I actually think it is like so neat how they will like take new youth that they've never met before. Like this is the first time they interact with one another, and they will take them like under their wing and like try to take care of them and protect them. So like we will have new youth come into the shelter, brand new onto the streets. They don't know much at all. They don't know what services are available, what organizations are open, when drop-ins are open, stuff like that. And our youth will be like, hey, this is what we're doing today. You can come and spend the day with us, and we'll make sure that, you know, you get to the YSB drop-in, or you get to Operation Come Home, or you get wherever you need to be. Like, we'll ensure you get there safely so you can get the services you need. So they kind of like, they all huddle together as like a kind of like a family thing, and they will take care of and protect new youth. But at the same time, if it's just like our regular crowd of youth, like they'll make plans together, and it'll be like, okay, so what are we doing tomorrow? Like during the pandemic, a lot of drop-ins were closed, right? So they were trying to figure out what options do we have open for places to go to get food, to have a shower, whatever it is. But they will make plans all together, and then they will leave the shelter all together, and they'll spend the day, and they'll take care of one another, and then they'll come back to the shelter that night, and they'll be like, oh, hypothetically, like Ashley hurt her hand today. Can you check her out and see if she needs like some first aid? Or like Keltie tripped today while skateboarding and she scraped her knee.
How did you know I skateboarded?
You kind of have that vibe, you know? I love you skateboard. I love it. That's amazing. But so, like,
we're gonna throw the
like
videos up later. Yeah.
I definitely want to see videos. If there are videos, I do want to see the videos. So it's just it's nice that, you know, they still have an open heart.
Yeah.
And even though they've been through so much trauma and so many bad experiences, they're still willing to be vulnerable and help other youth in the situation.
And it's still a community in itself. Yeah.
Because they're a community. Like, you'll see them. They come in like little groups.
Yeah.
And they're all little communities.
Yeah.
And then you'll know if something went bad that day, or if someone's not coming to the drop-in. One of the other youth will tell you, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're not coming today because this happened. Okay.
So how do you see the same thing at Capitol?
Yeah, I was gonna say I really resonate with a lot of that, and it's kind of like the places that we're creating the space for this to happen is, you know, it allows, it's like the hub that allows the spokes to go out in a way, you know? You know, someone will send me pictures on Facebook of what some of the guys went and did in the afternoon when they left the drop-in, just like you're describing. So, yeah, for sure I resonate that. And I think especially with youth, I often, like, if I'll see a new youth, 5 minutes later he'll, like, come back with 3 people. Yeah. So he's like, I just found this place. You all have to come to this place. Which is sort of neat among the youth, especially. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. We've had a lot of that happen. Yeah. Like new, like youth that we know bring in other youth who have unfortunately become homeless. And they're like, well, you should come here. Like, they have food and they have clothes and they'll chill and play like games with you or video games with you.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah.
Now at Restoring Hope, your communities are a little younger in age.
Yes.
You got the whole spectrum.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We have young people. We have quite a few seniors. Many people that have been part of our community for 20 years.
Yeah.
So they were young people. Now.
And now you see
they're older.
So you get that layering of community.
And we do get some neat intergenerational connections that happen. And
nice.
You know, at first blush, when you walk into our doors, it kind of looks like a coffee shop. You know, we're a bit less industrial than some spaces, and so you walk in and people think they're in a coffee shop, try to pay for their coffee, and I explain, no, it's a drop-in center. Everyone's welcome, but everything is free, and you know, they're surprised by that.
Yeah.
But how it's different than a coffee shop is strangers sit down at a coffee shop, and when they leave, they're still strangers.
Yes.
But at the drop-in, quickly, it's a stranger becomes a friend. And then over the years, really, these are like family connections that form between people. Yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
fabulous. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now that we've had the pretty picture of community. Let's flip the coin.
Dun,
What-
dun, dun.
Isolation.
Yeah, please don't. Let's not go back to
What-
quarantining.
What challenges are there in community?
There can be quite a few.
There's few, right?
Yeah, there can be quite a few challenges in community depending on what level like we're talking about.
So let's do the obvious. What are the obvious challenges to living in community?
Disagreement.
Yeah.
For us, because we are the younger, it's just a lot of like friendships and dating that are crossing lines. And then it all gets intermingled, and then one day they're all friends, and the next day they all hate each other, and then the following day 3 of them are friends.
Yeah.
So it's just like
You need a scorecard.
sometimes you do though. So it's just like personality, right? And just like things shifting and like their relationships shifting and evolving.
What about challenges from other communities?
Challenges from other communities.
Not in my backyard.
Oh, I don't like to think about that.
No.
No, me neither. But yeah, you're right. There
Yeah.
definitely is. Yeah.
I mean, it's something as people like us who offer services for people who, as I always say, so desperately need them and deserve them. A lot of people don't think that it should be where they reside or in their neighborhood or
Yes.
yeah.
So
It's one of my irks.
for us, I would say, I mean, over the years, there have been different things with neighbors, but
Yeah.
I would say generally we have a pretty supportive neighborhood, and especially during COVID, neighbors stepped up and offered donations, baked cookies, popped by the window to say, keep it up, that sort of thing. But we certainly do have neighbors who, wish we were located somewhere else. And when we encounter that, I usually try to remind them, many of the people that come to the drop-in on a regular basis actually live in the
Are their
community
neighbors?
Yeah.
housing building that's in the same block
Yeah.
as you live in. And actually, these folks have been living there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And you've recently come to the neighborhood. So, and I don't always do that as gracefully as maybe I should. And
Oh my goodness, we got
have,
a chuckle out of John on that one. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have had to offer apologies,
Yeah.
and with
Well,
humility.
we like to say here amends.
My
Yeah.
coworker Matthew, I think he's called me a mama bear on occasion.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's really the key thing is to remind everyone in the community that people are coming here because they're part of this community.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we try to find activities to
Bring us together.
bring people together.
Yeah,
We had
yeah.
a barbecue on the weekend.
Yes,
and
yes.
We were giving out freezies, and freezies.
I don't
easy
wanna-
to hand out to everyone
yeah.
if they don't want to wait.
I don't want to get sidetracked, but you just brought something up, and I don't want to forget to talk about it.
Okay.
Because Bethel Church did their impact Sunday weekend, and they went to a bunch of organizations in the city.
Yeah, it was
We were
great.
one of them. You were one of them. How did it go?
Check out your painting.
Yeah.
See if we should have them hired.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it was great. We had a barbecue with them on Saturday.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't there. I was taking a course,
Yeah.
but my coworkers said it was great. The community really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a really nice day.
Excellent. I love to see stuff like that. I just love to see stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Hence our annual celebration supper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is lacking in our community?
Resources, funding.
So
we can make our community
let's start at
better.
the top. Resources and funding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just collaboration between organizations.
Oh, well, we're gonna save that one
For later.
for a
Okay.
few more points
Okay.
down
That one I
down
have
the
a
road
lot
of
of
the
input.
conversation. But yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a point for me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The collab. Yeah. Okay.
Lacking. So let's start, as we were saying, with funding and money. I'm always an advocate, because what we do, a lot of us do not receive government funding,
No.
right? Does Restoring Hope
Nope.
receive government? Does Capital City receive government funding? No, and Jericho Road doesn't either.
Yeah.
So, have you guys ever heard of the halo effect? Yes.
You've told me
I
about
told
it.
you.
You
Yes.
should tell us all about
Yes.
You should share with the world.
Because it I think it's very important that people understand what the halo effect is. So the halo effect says that for every $5 you donate to a nonprofit like us, we're able to produce $10 in services. And if you're a government agency, every $5 that a government agency has, they're able to provide $1 in services. So it's
I can agree to that. Working for the government as one of the jobs.
and
Yeah.
and that's because we're, as I always give this kudos to the old executive director of Jericho Hope, and she would always use the word scrappy, because we're scrappy, right? We're able to do a lot with very little. And why do you think that is?
Because we're resourceful.
What does that mean?
can.
So if someone's tuning in tonight and they don't know, what is that? What do you mean by that?
So we find ways of stretching our money and on using other resources in our communities to be able to stretch that money further. So like you said, none of us are government funded, right? Restoring Hope, we did get a few grants through the city of Ottawa because of the pandemic, but they were just like one-time grants, right? Just for
I'm not
something.
talking grants.
Yeah,
I'm talking
so-
like a regular.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
don't get funded either.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of fundraising like everyone else does. But it's just learning like where we can use that money the most efficiently and how we can stretch the money and to use other resources so that we can stretch the money further. So for like what I mean is we get lots of fundraising and we get lots of funding and donations from people. Which is what helps us stay open.
Yeah.
But we need a lot of that money to be able to pay staff, right? Because we're not funded. So what does that mean for meals? What does that mean for lunches? What does that mean for food at the drop-in? So then we like outreach to our volunteers. So all of our meals, all of our dinner time meals are made by volunteers. All of our lunches are items that are donated that we turn into lunches. So we're not spending our money on things like food and socks and your basic necessities. We get that as donations in so that we can focus the money on spending it on staff power at the shelter so that we can be present for our youth and then for expanding our services.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by being resourceful.
Yeah.
It's just using like everyone and everything in your community around you to be able to make the most of the money that you have. And I think we're all very excellent at that because we've all had to learn how to do it, right? Without being
of course,
funded.
of course. So what would you say is lacking in your community?
You're gonna have to edit this, Jonathan. I apologize. I mean,
If I asked you,
yeah.
give me the top 3 things that you would want right now, if you could have them.
1 staff, 2 staff, and a building.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we've. Been
I get the
working-
staff thing.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's never enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, so recently I've been working on some grant application stuff, and some of it's more new to us, and we're figuring out how to do it. But it's interesting, like, you know, demonstrate this program. But I'm always thinking in terms of staff. Like, if I had a
Yes.
person that could do this, who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
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 Versus,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to accomplish this program.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, we need a staff,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes back
This
to
is-
what one person can do in a small organization.
Yeah.
Is creative, is changing, is
This
growing.
is a thorn in my side. So I'll probably say it because I'm a bit more forward. Why is it that every grant wants a specific project?
Oh, right?
Right?
Why?
Why?
Why can't you just give us
I-
money?
I'm running out of projects. You know,
I don't
why
need more
can't you
projects.
just give us money to fund the programs that are existing?
Exactly.
Right?
So then we can
I don't get
focus
it.
on
Yeah.
new projects.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a thorn in my pride. Or in my pride, thorn in my side. Yeah. Maybe
I'm
it's
just-
both.
I'm just happy I
Yeah.
don't do the
Yeah.
grants.
Yeah. Okay, now this is a big one that we wanted to talk about, that we talked about in our pre-pod: independence versus community. Why are we taught to be strong, unique individuals, and that's something that actually inhibits our sense of community? Why is it society teaches us to be strong, independent, not requiring or asking anything of anybody else? You got to stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah.
When, in fact, as we were talking before, I firmly believe that we're designed to live in community.
That's how we started, right?
Yeah.
We started in communities.
So where are we getting sideways in society by sending those messages? Do you think it's a taught thing? Do you think it's a commercial thing?
Yeah, I mean, North America is an individualistic society
Yeah.
rather than a communal, and
Yeah.
I think we need to slow down and start looking at communities or countries that have a more communal approach to life. And I mean, that applies to lessons in really all aspects. It applies
Yeah.
to how we handle recovery. It
Mhm.
applies to how we care for our elders in our society. You know, all of these areas are impacted by individualism versus a more communal approach.
When you say a communal approach, so for someone who wouldn't know what that is, can you expand on that just a little? What does a communal approach look like?
I mean, it can look like a multi-generational household.
Yeah.
It can look like even just how decisions are made in a society, whether it's, you know, our ethic is about the group or whether it's about individual
Yeah.
or, all sorts of things,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. I like that, the intergenerational, because we just don't see that, right? Yeah. What do you think on that?
I think as a society, like a North American society culture, we have become very selfish. And that is where a lot of the individuality comes into play rather than community, because it's all about like me, and what I need right now, and not about how it might affect other people in our lives or like different things. The one thing that like comes to mind like immediately when you said communal was I have clients that come from different countries. And what they want from me and expect from me is something I'm completely not used to. So like they want me hypothetically like to help them apply for childcare, but they want me to do the application for them. They need a new driver's license, so they want me to go and do the driver's license for them. But because from where they're from, it's a community. Everyone does everything together.
Yeah.
And everyone helps each other out.
Yeah.
So you're having a bad day as a mom, it's okay. We'll take the baby
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the day.
yeah.
You go and do whatever you
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
do, but we're here as a community for you.
Yeah.
And it's okay that you're having a bad day, and it's validated, and it's, you know, there is just a community approach to helping and nurturing
Yeah.
and loving.
And that's part of that intergenerational, right? Yeah.
It's a huge
You know,
part of
you
it.
need to go to the government building to get a driver's license, and so grandma's going to take care of the kid, and
Yeah.
because you're all living together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a
yeah.
lot easier
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go and do things
Yeah,
like that.
to
because,
navigate. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas now, like in our North American, you know, it's mom and dad, both are usually working.
Yeah.
they're trying to raise the kid. They're having a hard time. The mom needs a day off. She feels bad, because there's no one to take care of the kid.
Yeah.
So then she feels selfish. So I think it brings in a lot of, I think our individualistic aspect brings in a lot of depression and anxiety in our society. Because we need those connections.
Yeah.
We need the support. We need that community. Like, we started off as human beings as being part of communities. You had your hunters, you had your gatherers, everyone lived together, everyone shared all the food, you helped each other out with the children, with the cleaning, everything, right? That's how we started in life.
I have a friend, and he lives in the west end of Ottawa, and I was dropping something off at his house. And as I was dropping something off, his neighbor was outside, and I waved at the neighbor, and I walked up his steps, and I rang the doorbell, and I was like, I waved at your neighbor, and he said, oh, yeah, and I said, who is it? And he says, I don't know.
Never met him.
And I'm like, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
I'm not talking to a neighbor 5 doors down.
No,
I'm talking your neighbor,
This
right?
I do.
And he's like, Kevin, I've lived here for 20 years, and I don't know anybody on my street.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, what is wrong with that? Now I wanted to say, what's wrong with you? but the neighbor was probably the same.
Yeah.
Right? So where have we gotten
Lost.
Well, yeah, off track.
Yeah.
Where, I think of where I live in Barrhaven, and we live in a condo, and there's a walkway up, and then there's 4 doors to each condo, right? And my wife knows, she has them all down for coffee constantly, and they're sitting in the backyard and having cake and all that, and it drives me nuts, but the point is, she's Filipino, so she comes from a country where community is huge, right? And so here she's like, I gotta know who. What do you mean you don't know who your neighbors are? It's we're so backwards in our thinking, in our actions, and so I guess the big question is, why are we like this? Where have we gotten sidetracked that we don't know?
It's a good question,
isn't it?
Yeah, because seriously, where? What happened in history that has led us?
That's what
to,
I'm thinking. Does this go back to the 50s, like our parents or
astray.
their parents, or further? You think
the American dream?
It's the American.
You're right, though.
The American dream.
Yeah,
it's very individualist.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
capitalism.
Yeah,
John's
it's
yelling.
true.
Yeah,
it's all about the rich getting richer and everyone else kind of trying to make it through and survive.
Yeah.
Even though we have enough money in this world to literally feed the entire world, but we don't do it.
So if that's the case, then why do we do what we do? If everybody just wants to be individual, why do we work at where we work? Why do we do community the way we do community?
Because I know how badly I need community.
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's, for me, for sure, the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you get out of community?
Support.
Yeah.
Compassion. Energy. Fun.
Energy. Connection.
Yeah.
That's a big one, eh? Yeah.
Just connecting with one another.
Yeah.
I think, understanding. When you see people going through something, you realize, oh, they're going through something too. It's not just me. And
Yeah. And that's huge, to know you're not alone. Yeah.
What do you, just in a hypothetical situation, what do you think would happen if your community closed down?
A lot of people would become pretty isolated. A lot more people would be hanging out on the street instead of in a building.
And COVID kind of gave you a taste of that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Of the.
Yeah, it's been hard not. I mean, of course, we're now back inside. But those months.
No, but I mean, if we had to close our
outdoors.
services, to close our doors down,
Yeah.
COVID kind of gave us a little taste of what it would look like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like this thinking about individualism and how we, set up our social services and all of these things, we're really recognizing that one gap is that community support piece between the services, provided by the Royal or, doctor's office or even dental. Like all of these things are offering good services that people can access, but there's a barrier to access when individuals don't have the felt support that they need to get to those things. Like, anxiety is a huge barrier that keeps people from, I can book an appointment for someone, but if their anxiety is not going to allow them to get onto a bus and leave their neighborhood and go to that appointment, then there's a piece missing, and I need to fill that gap. So that someone is accompanied to an appointment. If I find out from my doctor that there's been bad news on a test result, I'm going to bring someone with me to that appointment, right? Like I'm going to do that. And so many people don't have that support. And so that's an area we're really trying to grow our ability to support people in, just accompaniment to whatever it is that they need support to achieve,
That's amazing.
We're not there yet, but that's, a goal, and we do it ad hoc, and it needs to be more and more. But
you just gave me a thought on the definition of community, and I think I would like to reevaluate my definition of community. And I think community is the removal of barriers.
Yeah.
That just hit me after you talked. Yeah. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, now we get to the meat and potatoes. You ready?
I love meat and potatoes.
Yeah. So how do we think is the best way for us as organizations to encourage one another and collaborate? As I always say on this podcast, take the silos down. How do we start taking the silos down? Feel free to jump in, or I will. Looking at
me. The stare is so serious. Yeah.
So let's start off with, what are the barriers? What are the barriers for organizations like us to encourage and collaborate with one another?
A lot of time. Time?
That's, As soon as you said a lot of time, I was going to say, okay, you can stop there.
Time.
Time.
Capacity.
Capacity.
Mentioning, again, going back to grants, we did not get this grant, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll keep working at it. But no, we were sort of developing this community support position, and within that role, a big section of what that person would have done would be to go and visit the other centers in our community, learn the other social supports, so that we can facilitate better. But when your ED is doing frontline work and community support and chaplaincy, it is hard to make the space. And I'm learning more and more as I go along the value of those connections. Now I have other leaders like you and Alan from Matthew House, and just different people that if I need to figure out, what do I do about bylaws, I can phone someone else who's already thought about this
or been through it
versus starting to Google and whatever. So I mean, it's a huge value added to know your peers in this line of work.
I agree.
What do you think about the barriers? What's a big barrier, do you think, for you as a leader in your community to encourage and support other organizations?
Right now, it's very similar to what Keltie was saying. It's time and capacity. Like I'm personally, I'm so overloaded with work at the shelter that even if I was so eager to go and network, there is nothing left in me at the end of the day right now to go and do it. And if we had more resources and more funding, I could delegate some of my tasks away so I could go and network more and collaborate with other agencies and try to like have a seamless system. Like that's my biggest thing is I think that all of us in organizations like this that are similar, like wouldn't it be amazing if we could just have like one seamless system that had our client information,
Oh, jeez.
like a database.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
That we
I'll
could-
be long and gone before we ever see something like that
That
happen.
we could all like get on and be in. We would
I
all have our
agree.
usernames.
Yeah.
And that way it's
for the utopian dream. Yeah.
yeah, but it would just it would make it so much easier for all organizations to support the same individual, right? Because then we could see what gaps there were, what they're missing, what they need. So like for me, that's why at the shelter we started the CORE program. That's why I wanted the CORE program, because CORE stands for Combining Our Resources Effectively. So it is an addiction.
Oh, I like that.
It is an addiction intervention program, but I developed it because I noticed that I had youth who wanted to go to withdrawal management, but there was a 2-week wait list. So what are they doing in the middle? They're sitting there and they relapse and then they forget, or they don't want to go to withdrawal
Our
management
resources effectively.
anymore, right? So we developed the CORE program, so I'm their interim. So, okay, we've done your application for withdrawal management. They're telling us it's a 2-week wait list, but we can call every day. So I will be by your side for the next 2 weeks, and we will be in constant contact. And whatever you need, you let me know so that we can get you to that 2-week mark so you can get into withdrawal management and get into services that you require.
Yeah.
But interim, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's just do this, show up on this date.
Yeah.
But they're, for us, like they're kids, they're youth. So you want a 16-year-old to remember that in 2 weeks they still want to be sober and to show up at 9 a.m. with a health card and this and that. And it's just not. It's not going to happen.
It's not. Yeah.
And it's not fair to them. Like I wouldn't have been able to do that at 16 years old.
You're putting a lot of the onus on them.
Yeah.
When it should be the other way around. Yeah.
They're children.
Yeah.
Like they are still children. They need that leadership.
Yeah.
They need that support. So, yeah, my biggest thing is that we need a system that allows organizations to collaborate better and to be able to provide seamless services for the same client.
Yeah.
But because we all offer different stuff.
Yeah.
So rather than like having organizations constantly offering the same thing but with a different organization, like we could all work together.
And that's what I always say. Nothing we do is proprietary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no secret sauce to Capital City Mission or Jericho Road or Restoring Hope.
Well,
that
we serve Equator coffee now, so
Ooh,
okay,
pretty
yes,
special.
that's the
Fancy
secret coffee. Yeah. But I mean, in what we do, right? There's nothing so secretive or proprietary that we don't want anybody else knowing what we do.
No.
Right? So that begs the question, then why aren't we? And I think you guys have hit it on the head. The big one is capacity. And we're all juggling so many balls at the same time that to find the time to do that, right?
And then the pandemic hit.
And then the pandemic
And we
hit,
had more
right?
balls to juggle.
Yeah. So maybe
But then I think, just the fact that we're having this conversation speaks to the fact that we're all recognizing that it is useful and that it is even just encouraging. And, a good example is, us doing Coldest Night of the Year together, doing it to two organizations, 2 groups of volunteers, makes it that much easier to host an event, get a community
and a lot
together.
more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make the meetings fun.
That's because I'm usually very lost. Anyways, okay. So, how do we begin? Let's AA always teaches us problem, solution, plan of action. We know what the problem is. We know what the solution is. What's the plan of action? Where do we begin? What would you think is the place where we begin? I think this is a good beginning.
I was just about to say, you've interviewed at least 8 community leaders this year.
Yeah.
So get us all into this.
Well, now, say that again.
I was
Say
thinking
that
that
again.
too.
Promising us dinner. all of us,
Yes,
so.
yes. It was Kate Saunderson, John, from The Place Next Door. A place to
to
go. Yes, and that's what she said. We need to have a big dinner because food always,
Oh, yeah. If you have free food, I'm there.
Yeah, Christian Craft.
All the
Let's
time.
go.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So maybe that's something as the three of us leaders can maybe
Yeah.
take a look at if we start spreading out the duties and responsibilities of having a social gathering with
Yeah.
all the social service agencies and ministries in Ottawa, and just get together and at least say hello to one another.
Yeah, and get to like
Right?
know one another,
Yeah.
get some like connections going.
Yeah.
So if we need something, or yeah, like I think that would be really good. And just also like it would also allow us to just know kind of what other resources are available that maybe we're not fully aware
Well,
of.
that's just it, right? Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because sometimes
I don't know how many times in my job I've gone, I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Or even just how to access something.
Yeah,
Today I
yeah.
was interacting with someone, and I was like, this person would be just a perfect fit for one of the Shepherds of Good Hope, sort of more supportive but independent apartment buildings. Like, this is kind of exactly the fit for this person.
Okay.
But I don't actually have any idea how someone can get into that building,
Yeah.
or does it
Who
is
even
it
to
how
call?
someone exits the shelter,
Yeah.
or can people go from OCH into one of these contexts? And so,
Yeah.
you know, even me, I have all these questions about what coordination could look like for this person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just knowing more about each other makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah. I love the CORE acronym.
Yeah. Come on.
I think that's the name of our new group.
You should
Eh?
you should
Eh?
wait for the withdrawal management acronym. You'll like that one too.
I don't want to leave this conversation, but we have to leave this conversation because we have 10 minutes left, and I want to talk about gratitude. What
What
are
are
you?
you grateful for?
I knew you
Kevin?
were going to look at me.
Kevin, tell us what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful.
Grateful for air.
Well, yeah, okay. Someone had to say it, eh?
It
Yeah,
wasn't me.
yeah. You paid her to say it. I know you did. I'm very grateful for, really in the context of what we're talking about, I'm very grateful for all the communities and ministries and churches and people who keep us running.
Yeah.
You know, because without them, we'd have nothing to offer anybody.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people in this city pour into our organizations, not only their time, their effort, their energy, but also financially, materially, right? And I'm very grateful for that, because without them, the three of us wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah.
So that's my I guess my Jericho Road executive director hat gratitude. My personal gratitude is I've had a lot of personal challenges lately. I'm moving.
Oh.
Yes, it's
Oof,
you
bless
know
your soul.
yeah and I've had a lot of personal challenges just with family. My mom's getting older and and you know there's always challenges and navigating the system and whatnot, but I'm very grateful that and I don't want to sound really 12-step cheesy, but I'm really grateful for God, and that I have someone to give those worries away and only deal with the ones that I have in front of me today, just today, and I'm very grateful for that. Otherwise, I'd be a basket case. Yeah. Who's up?
Keltie's looking at me eyebrow raised. It's you, girl. So you kind of touched on what I was thinking for my executive side, restoring hope hat.
Well, we have
side.
to have the two hats,
Yes,
right?
we have to have the
Because
two
we're
hats.
here in both contexts. Yeah.
So from the restoring hope side, I'm just incredibly grateful for the amount of support we've gotten throughout the pandemic, when most other organizations were shutting their doors down. We never did. Our doors never closed once. Okay, that's a lie. They closed, but it was because of the truck rally. They did not close because of the pandemic. It's because we physically couldn't get to the shelter because of the convoy.
That's another episode.
Yeah. But so the amount of donations and help and people reaching out to us during the pandemic, when we thought it was going to decrease, right? Because people had job loss. People were sick. There was all this stuff. So we thought it was going to like our funding was just going to crash, right? But it didn't. It was probably one of our strongest years in fundraising without even our fundraising events because we can host them, right?
Yeah.
So,
I got it.
But our donors, our volunteers, like they're what ensured that our doors stayed open the entire pandemic. And so when other services like Youth Services Bureau and Operation Come Home had to shut down, we were able to open up a daytime drop-in instead so that the youth would still have somewhere to come. So for me, I'm just like unbelievably grateful for the amount of support that we've had during this pandemic and just all of like the love and the prayers and just like it was a community coming together to ensure that our doors were going to stay open for our youth. And to me, that's beautiful because I was personally nervous that we were going to have a negative impact and it was going to impact our youth. The second thing I'm like super thankful for organization wise, we did not, knock on wood, ever have a COVID outbreak.
Wow.
Not once.
Wow.
So
yeah.
We had no COVID outbreaks. We have been super diligent. But like to me, that's amazing because every other shelter, no matter how hard everyone's trying, right? Everyone else had outbreaks and doors were shut down and people were quarantined. But we never did.
Not one staff member.
Well, we've had like a staff habit, but it wasn't from work.
It wasn't, It
was from school or from another job. But at our shelter, we have never had.
As I say, all the snot-nosed kids running around spreading COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from
personal gratitude.
My personal gratitude is since the pandemic started, this will get like a little cheesy and personal. I have been focusing a lot on my mental health and my mental well-being. And I'm just honestly really thankful for the amount of healing that I've done in the past year and a half, and how much more self-compassionate I've become to myself, which has allowed me to carry that on to other people. So I still have a long way to go, but I have healed so much more than I thought I did or would have, and I didn't realize this till last night. And I'm just so proud. You know, like it's hard. It's a hard journey. Like I have mental health problems as well. I see a psychologist. But I'm just really grateful.
Well, that just makes you one of us.
The healing journey, right? Seeing psychologists, I know. That's just what happens in the field. We all have our own psych on speed dial here. So and then for my support system around me to just keep me on track and just be there for me.
Excellent. You're up.
You're up, Keltie. I'll do the eyebrow
The
raise
Capital City Mission hat on first.
Ditto.
No,
I mean, you guys have said a lot that I would echo in terms of, extra community support during the pandemic in all sorts of different ways. And then I guess my most specific one would be the staff team that I've had during the pandemic. So year one of the pandemic, we hired on an extra staff, and that was Pam Bennett, who worked here for many years.
I love Pam. And hi, Pam, if you're watching.
And she's just an incredibly positive person, and so to bring
much energy
to bring that person on staff for that first year and a bit of the pandemic was really, really incredibly helpful to us as an organization, to me personally. And then she moved on to do other things more related to the field that she's been studying. And so that's really, really great for her. And as that was happening, we hired on somebody else who's been a great fit for the organization, who's got super great administrative skills to get me in line. To
crack the whip.
Very grateful for the staff team I've been working with.
Before you get to personal gratitude, I just want to point something out.
Okay.
If this was in any other context, let's say this was the business world, I would be sitting here going, how could she go and work over there, right? Yeah. She worked here and she left here, how dare she? But
I think I checked with Hope.
but in this context, all I feel is happiness for Pam, because she's such a a special person, and Capital City Mission is so close to our hearts. I think it's just wonderful that we could share someone like that. I know that sounds possessive, but I don't mean it to sound possessive, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Personal gratitude.
Again, I'm going to echo here, but I think I would, as I was reflecting on it, I was just thinking about like the support system that I've had during, this COVID season, and family members stepping up to make sandwiches for the drop-in. Yes, it's the drop-in, but it also saves me making sandwiches.
Yeah, for sure.
So as I go through stuff, people phoning, checking in. I'm grateful to have a good support system.
Beautiful. John, announcements or question period? Do we have any questions? No? Okay, good. I think as we have gone on for an hour. Good golly. Let me do a couple of tie-ups here. Our next episode will be June 23rd. This episode of the Recovery Connection podcast will be available once again on all major streaming platforms beginning next Thursday, after John edits out all my little hums and haws and throat clears and stuff like that. You guys, no, that's good for dramatic effect. You guys sounded wonderful. Thank you very much. For more information or to donate, visit Restoring Hope and Capital City Mission online at restoringhope.ca and capitalmission.com.
Capital City Mission.
CapitalCityMission.com. And we all know our website, www.jerichoroad.ca. And then last but not least, I just want to say thank you to the two of you.
Great to be here.
I was thinking the other day, I think the three of us are innovators because I think we're three organizations that have started working together.
Yeah.
And supporting one another. Yeah. And nothing makes us happier here than being able to support Restoring Hope. I mean, the D House, the guys make a meal there once a month, and I think that's something we should have been doing a long time ago. And partnering, of course, with you for so long with Coldest Night of the Year and helping out where we can and sharing resources. I think we are the, what's the word? The pioneers.
Oh, there we go. I was like, it's getting late. I don't know what's the word.
Of starting to take those silos down and working with each other. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for the two of you, and I just say that I hope the next year is just as wonderful as it can be, and I hope that God blesses both your ministries.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.